But let me tell you first why I decided to write this book.
Yeah.
First, major mainstream economists on both the left center and right center and extreme right claimed they had solved the mystery of managing the macro economy up until really, Olivier Blanchard was saying it as late as 2008, a fellow I respect, but he represents a very large proportion, I think, of mainstream type thinking.
I might just mention that Olivier was a classmate of mine at MIT back in the mid-1970s.
There you go. I think that class, roughly, and Krugman told me the same thing.
Yeah, we were all there together.
Our public chat, everybody seemed to graduate in those
Ben Bernanke was around at that time, too.
Yeah. And was Rogoff?
Yeah, Ken Rogoff was also there. He was also a chess grandmaster. Did you know that?
I did know that,
yeah. He was a grandmaster when he was a graduate student.
Really? Yeah. A lot of these are, it's sort of a function of being precocious, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
And clearly he was precocious. Your class did all the damage, I'm teasing. Anyway, so that's one reason I wrote the book. Another reason is I believe lots of economic ideas literally led to the financial crisis of 2008. The first chapter, the introduction of the book is called Damage. Economists thought they had solved the problem. As proof, they offered up something called the Great Moderation, which noted the GDP was quite stable over this period, and they attributed that to inflation targeting, or at least targeting a low rate of inflation of 2% a year. And my third concern is these ideas are still alive and well, or not well, I would say. And the obvious example of that is the Fed's current arguments and over whether they should be raising interest rates when the inflation rate is not even 2%, the target they look at, the PCA, a deflator. So that's why I wrote the book, and I organized it according to 7 bad ideas, and the hub of it is really the invisible hand.
Yeah.
Did you want me to go over all 7 now, Glenn?
Well, no, I don't think it's necessary. I think we'll probably get to it in the course of the conversation. And as you point out,
sure.
There's a kind of core, sort of intellectual cornerstone, as I understand your argument, which is captured by your objection to this idea called the invisible hand, attributed to Adam Smith. So you might talk a little bit about that. But before you do, if I could just put one thing on the table and hope that you'll be able to address yourself to it as we go along. Which is, as I was reading your book, I kept wanting to distinguish between ideas as such. On the one hand, ideas, theories of the macroeconomy, notions about regulation or the price system or whatever, on the one hand, and values on the other. How much I weigh the dangers associated with inflation vis-a-vis the cost to people attendant to unemployment, or how much I'm concerned about the profits and dividends paid to shareholders and firm owners on the one hand versus the status of the working people who are employed by them on the other. And so I was hoping that, we could, bear in mind that, an idea is one thing, and how that idea gets employed, I should say, in the formulation of policy on behalf of what is another. I don't know. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I agree there are values, but I do think that my objections are really based on the criteria that economists themselves draw up, which is, are they optimizing prosperity? And, I think distribution of income is part of that, for example, but I don't think these ideas, whatever one's values, are optimizing prosperity. I should say that these ideas have had their place in time. My argument is they've become set in stone. They've become rules of thumb that the profession has relied on and built complex quantitative models based upon that I just don't think apply adequately to the real world.